Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Son of Viet Kieu, where I will share my stories as a German Vietnamese living in Ho Chi Minh City. Thank you for joining me on my morning walk today at Sala again. Thanks to you, I got up early. You guys keep me accountable. And on my way here, I was actually thinking, what should I talk about today? And the first thing that came up into my mind is mainly things that I share with my students. And there was this question, it's not once, but like actually a quite common question of my students, which is, Thầy ơi, what is the biggest problem when I move abroad or study abroad? Right, and beside all those things like, you need to learn German, your communication skills and stuff, actually one of the things that many people don't know about and that I personally experienced is reverse culture shock. Reverse culture shock, yeah, when I tell it my students, they're like, you mean sốc văn hóa? So culture shock. I'm like, yes, kind of. Like with a normal culture shock, you go abroad into a new environment where you're not really familiar with all the things, and yes, the culture is different, the people are different, the language is different, the food, for example, my students often struggle with German breakfast. Yes, that's all culture shock, but what I'm talking about is actually reverse culture shock. And it's like when you go or move abroad, lived a long time there and got used to the environment after maybe half a year, 1 year, 2 years, and then go back to your home country, maybe Vietnam, maybe for me it was Germany, and you feel uncomfortable there again. And I personally think that this is actually harder than a normal culture shock, because all your expectations, all the things that you thought you knew about your home country is actually completely different. And for me, the first time when I experienced culture shock was when I moved to New Zealand, right? After my high school, I was kind of lost, not really knowing what I was doing. So I decided with a friend to move to New Zealand for a work and travel year. Back then, as a German Vietnamese growing up in Germany, I didn't really know what to do. I didn't even really know what I wanted in life. I only knew that I didn't want to study right after high school, because I wasn't even quite sure what I enjoyed. And yes, I heard that by going abroad you might be able to find your values and find your interests and whatever, right? So after New Zealand, after my high school, I went to New Zealand, and I got a kind of like a positive culture shock, because it was the first time where I could decide for myself, which was actually at the beginning a bit uncomfortable because I didn't even know where to start. But that's, I guess, how I got to know and got to learn how to find my interest by making decisions for my own. It was like simply like, back then in Germany, I would think, okay, should I buy this brand of t-shirt, or should I buy this or that? What would my family think about? What would my friends think about it, right? But by going abroad to New Zealand, I obviously didn't know the brands over there, and I literally bought the things that I enjoy. So step by step, I found what my interests were. I found who I was. Like it's not like about the things, that materialistic things, but also like the values, what I wanted to represent. The people in New Zealand are extremely kind, and all those things helped me to shape my personality. And this itself was kind of like a positive experience for me in terms of culture shock. And with this new mindset, after a year, I moved back to Germany, expecting to a certain degree to reconnect with my friends, reconnect with my family, and share with them about all the things that happened. And when I actually went back to Germany, I realized that this was the hardest time in my whole life, because I have changed. I had changed in New Zealand, and all the expectations that I had for Germany in terms of feeling comfortable and feeling maybe home again were, well, right into the trash can. So that was the first time that I actually experienced reverse culture shock, and this hit me way harder than going to New Zealand with a normal work culture shock, because yeah, I didn't feel comfortable over there. I didn't know where to connect. Obviously I changed, but all the other people that stayed in Germany, like my family or my friends, they obviously also changed as well. And this was actually a really hard time, because I didn't really know where to find a safe space. It's not like that the people in Germany are bad people, or the friends in Germany are bad people, or I'm a bad person, but the interests got so different. And obviously the people in Germany thought that I was the same person like a year ago, right? It was probably really hard for them to reconnect with me as well. And I was probably for a good 3 months in a depression, feeling lost again. And I think here the problem is that I actually thought at the beginning I figured life out. I figured out what I wanted. I figured out what who I wanted to represent, right, as a person. And I quickly realized that it wasn't a good match. And after 3 months, I decided to leave Germany again to start in Vietnam from scratch. That's actually one of the reasons why I moved to Vietnam. But in hindsight, now thinking back, how all of these things happened and what I did in the end to overcome this, not just loneliness, but also those expectations and circles, is something that I call color matching. For example, when I was in New Zealand, I personally realized, wow, this is what I enjoy, this is who I am. It's like finding out which color you are. And for me personally, I always tell myself I'm a blue. I do enjoy blue. And before in Germany and high school, I didn't even know which color I was. But I think I was hanging out with people that are red. I don't know why, but for me it was red. And yes, after I found out who I was, and let's say I'm blue, I went back to Germany, right? I went back to Germany realizing that all the others had different interests and values. And by not knowing who I was back then, obviously I was hanging out with the wrong color. Not like saying that they were bad people or something, or that there was something wrong between us, but just different. And I realized that I had to find other people that had the same interests and values as me, in terms of like also blue people. I guess that was the best way to overcome the reverse culture shock, by reconnecting with people that had same beliefs, right? But then when I came to Vietnam, I was like actively looking for people that represented the same values as me. Of course, there are people who do things completely different that I'm in a circle now. Maybe they have a completely different profession, and maybe they do things completely differently, right? Or they enjoy their life completely differently. Maybe they're digital nomads, they don't want to stay in one place and they go from one place to another place, right? And I think that's totally fine, as long as you have people around you that by the values, like for me it's kindness, freedom and honesty. As long as they represent those things in their daily routine, in their daily life at work and stuff, I think you can connect. And that's why I'm really grateful for the decision to leave Germany again, to find a new circle, to overcome this reverse culture shock, to have a circle of friends that are similar to me, but on the values level, on the why they do things, we're really similar. So in terms of they're blue, but maybe a different shade, maybe they're a bit darker, or a baby blue or brighter blue, by those nuances, what or how they do things differently. But yeah, that was like just my take, and that's what I really try to convey to my students as well, if they should go to Germany studying there. There is one problem with culture shock, that they have to get used to the language, they have to get used to the mindset, the working culture. But I also tell them it might be really hard after staying in Germany for a couple of years to go back to Germany, because you have changed. You have changed a lot in Germany, and I mean, I usually tell them as well, it's still a long way to go, because you have to go to Germany first and then you will see. But if you should experience reverse culture shock when you come back, then think about who do you want to reconnect with, right? Maybe you have other friends, other people that went through the same thing. It's great to exchange, right? And talk, because I think not many people know about it, and not many people dare to talk about it, because maybe they're embarrassed, or I felt stuck as well. I mean, I didn't even tell anyone back then because I didn't even know what it was, right? So just as a kind reminder to all of you, you're not alone. People are struggling as well and going through different things, but I guess by finding people that match you in terms of colors, it's a bit more bearable and things are going to be figured out. So I guess it's also time for me to start my running. The sun is up. Yeah, that's it for today, for another episode of Sunne with Viet Kieu. And I hope you join next week for another chat morning walk where we walk and talk. Alright? Have a nice day. See you later. And what about you? Have you ever experienced a culture shock or a reverse culture shock? Let me know in the comments so that everyone can learn from you as well. And see you next week for another episode of Sunne with Viet Kieu, where we walk and talk.